Hi, I'm Mayce.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between. Well, hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Listen, I know you know this, and if our listeners have been listening for any length of time, they know this, but I'm going to repeat it anyway.
Okay.
We spend a lot of time on Impactful Messages, let's talk about it, talking about leadership, culture, communication, and accountability, right? But what I always find funny, depending on who we're talking to, either on the podcast or in the real world, is they don't realize that every single one of those conversations always come back to one thing, and that's people.
People. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that, because you can have the best strategy in the world, but if people aren't developed and aligned and equipped to execute all those strategies, none of it matters.
Yeah.
Which makes today's quote a perfect fit.
Yes, but before we get to the quote, we have got to introduce our guest because he is going to help us walk through this awesome quote that we have. So welcome to the show, Dr. Al Philip-Neri. Welcome,
Yay!
Dr. Al.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're so glad you're here. So go ahead, Dr. Al, tell our listeners, briefly more about you. What do you want them to know about you?
What do I want your listeners to know about me? So, Dr. Al Philip-Neri, I'm a performance psychologist. So what does that mean? I deal with human performance, human capital, because any business leader should know that human capital is the biggest line item on their P&L.
Yes.
People are the most important thing.
100%. So here's the quote. You're going to love it, I think, Dr. Al. It's like so perfect for you.
It is.
So here it is. Human capital is without a doubt the most important intangible asset to develop and will continue to be. And that was said by Roger Spritz. Roger, have no idea who you are, but that quote is perfect for Dr. Al. So, Missy, Dr. Al, let's talk about it. So, Dr. Al, when you hear it, I'm going to say it again. Human capital is without a doubt the most important intangible asset to develop, and it will continue to be. What comes to mind for you?
He's right. People are the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right? You can have strategy, you can have systems, you can have software, you can have everything. But how does it operate? How does it get leveraged? How does it become monetizable? How does it become excellent? It's people and their ability to think and implement the strategy, the software, whatever it is you're doing. So I would agree with him that, I use the line item that human capital is the biggest line item in your P&L. If you have any, so that's ROI. If we just take a CEO that's only worried about ROI, right? Okay, it's your biggest line item, pal. You should probably care about it and focus on it. But then if you got the leaders who want culture, right? They're always like, oh my God, I want the greatest culture. Well, who do you think makes up your culture? Your strategy? No.
Right. The culture is not just words on the wall. People have to live it out.
That's exactly right. All right. So I have a question for you, Dr.
I think
Al.
I know where you're going because I think I have the same question, Miss.
Okay. So if people are so important, we know it, culture, implementing the systems and strategies, why do so many organizations focus on all that other stuff and overlook development of their people?
Yeah, I had the same thought. Like, why are SOPs more important than the people?
Because it's complex and it's difficult and it takes time. People are complex, right? We might be the most complex creatures around, things around. So when you're managing people, different traits, different personalities, different behaviors, different backgrounds, different cultures, different expectations, different levels of intensity, urgency, patience. You know what? That doesn't come easy. So the development of people takes time. Implementing a strategy, or let's even not even call it implementing it, coming up with it, saying we're going to do this doesn't take time. It's just an idea and you're like, oh, okay, let's do this. Putting a new software system. Now, you know, I'm not going to get in an argument with your audience. I mean, yes, if you're changing over a whole CRM or a software system, does that take time? Yes. But let's face it, in human development, it could take years to develop somebody from this to this, depending on
Right.
how they're naturally wired or their ability to learn, learning
Right.
curves, expectations, culture, right? So it just takes time. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, business gives a perception that they don't have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. No, that's so true. Now, you
So
didn't
good.
share a lot about your background, so you might want to give a little bit of context with this question I'm going to ask you, Dr. Al. You've worked in high pressure environments in your past. So how did those experiences shape your views on human capital? So share a little bit about why I'm asking you about those high pressure, and then talk about how that shapes your view.
Got it. Yeah. So I spent, over a decade in government service, juvenile corrections, special operations. Highest rank was I ran a juvenile prison here in the state of Colorado. And we never trained for comfort. We trained for pressure. We trained for the next level, because you never knew if you were going to have a good day or a bad day. You never knew what was going to happen. We would try to be as proactive as humanly possible, but in many cases we were reactive. So we had to know how people operated when things hit the fan, right? Could we predict what Dr. Al was going to do? Could we predict what XYZ could do? You had to understand people so that we could have the desired outcome, which was to control the situation with the least amount of force necessary. At the end of the day, that was like the mantra, right? You control the situation with the least amount of force necessary. And in those environments, you have peacocks, right? So you have a lot of people watching. You have a lot of people that start posturing up. You don't know if it's a setup. So when it comes to people and developing people, I'd like to talk about the word pressure. And we trained for pressure. Athletes train for pressure. You look at the top ranked programs, whether, I don't care what level it is, JUCO, Division I, Pro, the top ranked programs train for pressure. They train for playing at the highest level. They don't train for the comfort game. They're going to blow somebody out by 9 runs or 60 points. That's meaningless to a super head coach. So the thing is, how can we talk about pressure in your company? Right? Where you might immediately be like, oh my God, why is this guy talking about pressure? That's like scary. That's toxic. No, it's not. And if I can give a quick example, think about a 5-year-old riding a bike, learning how to ride a bike. Go back to parenting. Most of your audience is probably parents. When you taught your child how to ride a bike, was it a high pressure situation for that child? Of course it was. Of course it was. They were scared to death. But what was your attitude towards them as they learned? You were patient, you were kind, you were
encouraging. Yes.
You were positive. You kept telling them you can do it. And here's the most important thing. Did you tell them if they fail in 5 attempts, like you're kicking them out?
Giving up, right.
No. It didn't matter if it took 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So imagine if you came in with that attitude as a leader in your company. And I'm not saying to lower standards. Let's get this. It's your attitude for how we increase standards and increase performance. We allow people to grow. We allow people to fail, but we continue to give them the tools. We expect them to do their part too, so they can grow. That gives a different context to pressure now.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so funny because any of our listeners that have been really dedicated and loyal listeners are tickled.
Like my mom.
Because neither Macy nor I ride bikes, Dr. Al. So that is so funny that's your analogy.
And when it was time to teach the kids how to ride a bike, I did not partake.
Totally deferred to my husband for sure.
Got it.
So you mentioned, right, you spent a lot of your career preparing for pressure, studying pressure. What happens to people specifically, I would say even to leaders, when pressure increases? What is that natural human instinct, maybe?
Yeah. A few things, but here's the ones that stand out. They're very reactive.
Yeah.
They lack equanimity, right? They fly off the cusp. So when they fly off the cusp, they just get very tunnel vision themselves. right? Communication deteriorates. They expect people to read their minds.
Mm.
And guess what? No one's a mind reader. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there are people that are mind readers, but
They're
for the
probably
most
not
part,
listening to this
yeah,
show,
they're
but
probably not listening to this show, right? Mind readers are probably not listening to this show. So at the end of the day, as a leader, if that's how you operate under pressure, how do you think your people are going to react and operate under pressure? You're a
Yes.
basket case, if I can use that. So if you're
Yeah.
a basket case under pressure, guess what your organization probably is under pressure?
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
that's
do
such a-
what people see.
Yeah,
Yep.
let me ask you kind of a piggyback question then. How can leaders prepare their teams before that pressure comes? Because listen, inside of any organization, there are going to be pressure moments. They may not be catastrophic,
Right.
but a client leaves, a customer leaves, an order didn't ship on time. Like, what would a leader do ahead of time to prepare for that with their team?
Got it. So, we can go as simple as like role playing, right?
Yeah,
But
sure.
just situational awareness, situational training, specific specific plans when something occurs. So if you think about it, so let's just even break that down to a simpler thing. Communication clarity and role clarity when something hits the fan. Those two things in itself will help you immensely. Now, what do you really need to build at the end of the day in order for your team to operate under pressure and execute as you want? You need to build trust.
Yes.
Trust in themselves that they're equipped, like that I'm equipped to do what I am expected to do, right? That's very important. The personal development, I need to have self-efficacy, if I can use a psychology term. I need to
Yeah.
believe in myself that I'm prepared and I can do
Yes.
that. But what's even more important than that
Yeah.
is that if us three are a team, I need you two to have the utmost confidence in me that I will
Yes.
execute under pressure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's called collective efficacy, which is another psychology term.
Right.
You have to trust me that I will do my part, and I have to trust each of you that you will do your part. And collectively, guess what? We will achieve the end result.
So
Yeah,
good.
Missy, it reminds me when Dr. Al was talking about like the preparedness ahead of time when we did that training with a group. And before the training started, this was like fascinating to us. Before the training started, the kind of the leader of the group said, okay, who here knows CPR? Who here will be the person to call 911 when there's an emergency? And Missy and I are looking at each other. We're like,
no one's ever done that.
no one's ever done it.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for, nearly a decade. No one's ever done it. But just it was so like, okay, I've got that handle. I've got this handle. Like she had thought ahead enough to know, like, yes, we're in a leadership training. The chances of something happening are slim and slimmer, but let's be prepared just in case that happens so that there's not this like crazy erratic, everybody is like running with their hair. So just what you said just reminded me of that situation, of that.
It also made me think about the little moments in every day, the little stressful moments, being able to trust each other in those like small pressure moments.
And ordinary, maybe.
And ordinary to be able to prepare for when it really does hit the fan, that you're building trust every day in those stressful, ordinary pressure moments. So that was something that I thought as well about preparing. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about that team cohesion. I think it's a little bit of what you were mentioning when you talked about the group efficacy. What does true organizational cohesion look like? And would you define cohesion the same as alignment or full agreement?
All right.
You must like
Here
this
we go.
question,
Here
Dr. Al.
we go.
We're buckling in. We're
Here we
buckling
go,
in.
because I'm going to disrupt. Okay.
Okay.
Go for it. Good.
Cohesion is about common commitment to the objective. So we're agreeing on the end result, on the objective.
Okay.
Cohesion is not about agreement. It's the furthest thing from agreement.
Hey.
Because you want disagreement, right? People think we started the show with how complex individuals are. Okay, so while that can be a burden, it can also be the asset. It can also be the gift.
Oh, yes.
That people think differently. So if you're a real leader and you want the best results, it's not about everyone agreeing, going, "Oh my God, that sounds so good. Oh, that's phenomenal." No. You need people to be like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." Like, no, there's a
Look
better.
at it this way. Let's look and
Yes.
listen to this perspective.
Why are we creating Form 86396B? That's not going to solve terrorism. I'm sorry. Like, that's dumb. What are we trying to accomplish? Right? So cohesion is a commitment to the common objective.
I love that.
Alignment helps, right? Alignment helps. So I'm not going to discredit alignment. And part of my PhD research, obviously in team cohesion, is we talk about alignment. How do you actually achieve alignment, right? So it is important, but alignment doesn't mean everybody agrees.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Leaders want everybody to agree, right? That's what they think
Yes.
alignment. That's
Yes.
cohesion.
Right.
No, not at all. So as a leader, you've got to create an environment where disagreement is appropriate, right? Professional, but we're moving the bar, we're moving the needle to the common objective. Because
I love that
that's
definition.
the result you're looking for.
I love that
Love
definition of cohesion. All right, let me ask you this, Dr. Al. How can leaders be consistent with whatever it is that they're doing, but not create bureaucracy inside an organization?
Oh, Lord, the bureaucracy word.
So here's the thing, right? I came from government, right? I mean, there's bureaucratic operating systems known to mankind, and they are, let's create a form and that's going to solve a problem.
Right.
That's crazy, right? So how do you avoid bureaucracy, right? It is equality. It's not micromanagement. We understand people have titles. Everybody gets that, right? That you're the boss or you're the leader or this is my direct report, whatever the case may be. Okay, well, if that's how you're leading is by a title, you ain't leading.
Right.
You're not leading, right? Now you're not necessarily micromanaging, but you're playing a power and control game, right?
100%.
Micromanaging is you don't trust your people. That's why you're micromanaging, right? You're a nightmare. Like I tell people all the time, like you're a spreadsheet guru, I guess, but you're running a sales team. Like, doesn't it make any sense? Like sales guys don't want to fill out a spreadsheet. They want to get on the hunt, right?
Yeah.
What's the spreadsheet? And you want me to do this every hour on the hour?
Yeah.
No, you're putting this dude in a box. So the thing about bureaucracy is in simpler terms, I think it comes from lack of self-awareness, lack of self-esteem. They're using title as power and control because they don't know how to lead. And those are two very different things.
Yeah. Love it. So good.
So you have brought a lot of leadership lessons through your education, through your experience. Is there one that you look back and think like, well, that took me a really long time to learn that, but now you've kind of got it and it's part of your awareness?
Yeah. I mean, on a personal note, there have been plenty of times in my life as a leader where I have lacked equanimity. For sure. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an intense human being. And especially when, things aren't going correct. Right. And I expect people to like move, like, let's go. Right.
Let's go.
Chop, chop, chop.
Here we go.
And again, I came from environments where that was normal.
Sure.
So that was the expectation, right? We all moved like that. Like nobody was like, oh, well, let me go get
lollygagging.
Let me think about it.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, I realized, okay, you're not going to get the desired response by lack of professionalism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? That's not going to give you the desired response, period. Not saying that it's not a shock factor times to time and it can be used as a good shock factor, but it's like, okay, how do I learn to communicate? How do I learn to set the standards so that people take it with the level of serious intent that I want them to take it with? And some of that is, as a leader, it's asking the right questions so they come up with the answer that you want them to come up with, right?
Yes.
They self-identify that they've got to pick it up because of questions you ask them, right? So And what you're doing there is you're developing a relationship and rapport. But at the end of the day, they're really the ones saying, yeah, okay, I got to step it up. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I'm letting the team down, or I'm letting the perfect. Okay, so what are you going to do differently next time? Right.
Yeah.
So how are you going to prepare to move a little quicker? And yet I know we're using a very generic example, right?
No, that's okay.
But that now it becomes a self-awareness issue, right?
Yes.
And I'm not really the bad guy that's like pointing the finger, because I was able to communicate with them by asking questions to where they became more self-aware to come up with the right answer, so that now we're on the standard. And then you got to get a commitment, right?
Yeah.
You have to get a commitment.
Yeah.
So, so for me personally, it was probably the lack of equanimity thing. And then I had to realize, okay, what's my approach to getting the desired result, right? How do I need to change my approach to getting the desired result? And at the end of the day, people want to be respected, but they also want to feel respected.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So there are obviously many different types of leaders, but for sake of this conversation, let's focus on average leaders and exceptional leaders.
Okay.
What are some habits that separate the two? So you've got your average, like they're okay, they're getting along, but then you've got the standout, like, wow, like they are rocking and rolling. What are some habits that either one of those have, like even the average leader has them and they need to change, or the exceptional leaders have figured it out?
Yep. So, I mean, it's going to be the same, right? And it's just going to be to the degree of execution.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, the greatest leaders in the world have self-awareness. And they know their strengths. They know their weaknesses / areas of improvement. They know where they shine. They know when to trust other people to shine in place of them, right? That they don't view that as, a lesson, like it's lessening their positioning, right? It's weakening their positioning, weakening their authority. They're part of the overall objective, and they know where they shine. The other thing I think is that people respect consistency.
Yes.
And so your best leaders are consistent. They lead from the front. They're role models. That's the word I like to use, is they're role models, right? So they don't say things like, I need you guys to work harder. Like, I don't care. Figure it out. Do what you got to do. Work harder. I don't know what you're crying about. I pay you overtime anyway. And then those bastards are drinking bourbon on the golf course.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Yes.
Like, so you're expecting your troops to roll up their sleeves, grind, come in early, and you're over here just having fun.
Right. You better be right there with them.
You better be right there with them. You should be the first one in and the last one out.
Yeah.
If it's that serious and you're constantly checking in with people. So I think the other attribute is good leadership comes from continuously checking in with people. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Like I get it. In big corporations, does a CEO know, if you got, whatever, 200, 500, does a CEO know the entry level position? Probably not, right? But at a smaller company, you definitely should. But then what is your system that trickles down to let people know that they are the most important person in the organization? And that's the ability to check in with them, communicate with them. But more importantly, you now know when they're off.
Yes. I think that's so important, and people miss that. Like, when they're not connected, they don't know necessarily, like, this person is showing up differently than they normally do.
Right. Something's off today.
Something's off today. A lot of leaders, unfortunately, don't really recognize that.
Don't even see their people, so to speak. They walk in, they go to their office. They would never recognize something like that. So that's so good. You said really so much of what we don't just teach some of that, Dr. Al, we preach it.
Yeah.
And we like to keep things practical around here. And so as we kind of move into wrapping up, if leaders listening today could focus on developing one aspect of their human capital to implement immediately, what would you recommend?
Personal accountability. So if you're a leader, you want to create change, corral your people and take ownership for where you've screwed up, what you could have done better, and what you're going to start doing moving forward. It starts with you.
Yeah. Hold that
People
mirror.
will then respect that. But now you got to follow through on what you delivered.
Yes.
You follow through because people will be watching you. You start following through on what you said you were going to shift, you were going to change. And along the way, you know what? You're not perfect either. So maybe you make a mistake. But the minute you make that mistake along the way, you take accountability again.
Own up to it.
You own up to it and you say, hey, you know what? I know I promised you guys this, but oh my Lord, I just screwed up.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Because your people know you screwed up.
Absolutely. Don't make excuses.
So if you don't take ownership, you just make yourself look worse. Like they could forgive you by saying, oh, I messed up. But when you don't take that ownership.
Absolutely. Right. And now what you're doing is you're creating a culture where people are like, okay, I got it. Like there's no penalty in theory. Because if you're going to penalize your people for making a mistake, then you got to penalize yourself.
Yeah.
You got to penalize yourself publicly so everybody knows you're also penalizing yourself. So, not to be silly, right? But in one of the juvenile prisons I worked at, there was a staff member and he would typically work day shift. I'd work evening and we'd relieve one another. And he was a stud. I'd consider myself a stud in that environment, but he didn't like it when the kids cursed. And so every time the kids cursed, he made them do 10 push-ups, like every time. And that was his standard. And he just never cursed. So it was funny because, that operating system transferred into the evening shift. Well, guess what? Dr. Al from time to time will curse.
Yeah. And you were doing some push-ups.
I was doing push-ups, right? And I'm like, this ain't even my rule, right? But I embraced what he was doing.
Sure.
Right? I embraced what he was doing. So I'm like, you know what? What's the big deal? I'll bang out some push-ups, right?
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. But what do you think that showed the kids, right? What do you think that showed the kids, right?
Of course.
Yeah, we're in this together. This is the standard. I'm in it with you.
Correct.
We're not going to make exceptions
we're not just
because
saying
I'm the leader.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not just telling you to do it. If we do it too, this is
correct.
We're doing it.
Correct.
Well, love it.
Well, y'all, and when I say y'all, things have been going great. This has been a great conversation.
It has been.
And I really think that this is a great transition into our big takeaway of the week that we always like to share. And so I'd say, listeners, if you take only one thing away from this episode, let it be this. People are not a line item. They are the multiplier.
Yes.
Like most leaders invest heavily in processes and technology and strategy and systems, and those things do matter, but none of them perform without people. Yeah. I mean, the organizations that win long-term, they're the ones that intentionally develop leaders, strengthen communication, and create that alignment at every level.
Yeah, that's right. And keep in mind, pressure doesn't create leadership problems. It actually reveals them.
Absolutely.
And when expectations aren't clear, trust is weak, or if accountability is not, or if accountability is inconsistent, then you can't execute on something. The best leaders build strong teams before the pressure arrives. We talked about that. So performance remains steady when it does. Not if it does, but when.
Yes.
Dr. Al, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure, such a great episode. I hope our listeners were taking notes. If not, you're going to need to go back and
rewind.
Do so. Yeah. So if our listeners want to stay in contact with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
LinkedIn by far. So if you just
great.
look up Dr. Al Philip-Neri on LinkedIn, you'll find me. My mainframe website is teamcohesionhq.com. So
and we'll put all of that
through that.
Yeah. And rumor has it, you have a recent book out.
I do.
Yeah. So do you have a copy you could hold up for our YouTube watchers?
I do. So there's the title.
The Execution Advantage. And
all
where can they find your book?
I'm sorry, what was that? How do they get a hold of it?
Where will they find it?
So Amazon is the best place. And so, the Execution Advantage, it's just a 4-part framework that any leader can start implementing the minute they finish each chapter.
Well,
Love
awesome.
it.
Well, and we
Love
love
it.
that sounds practical and we love practicality. So one last question for you. We ask this of all of our guests. What is your favorite leadership quote?
So I'm gonna use one of my own, one that I use readily, okay? And it's behavior drives execution, execution drives outcomes.
Okay.
Good.
Behavior drives execution, and execution drives outcomes. Very good.
Practical.
Well, it is a good one.
Very
And
practical. Yeah.
listeners, do you have a favorite leadership quote? We know you do. So send it our way, and we just may spotlight it on a future episode.
We'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights, and you know what we're going to do.
Of course.
We're going to talk about it.
Talk about it.
Well, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you
Al.
so much,
Bye,
Dr.
bestie.
Al. Goodbye. Bye, bestie.
Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this show, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast, leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app, and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Mpactful with an M _ messages on Instagram and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.